Hey all, hopefully you can see me, and today it's day 13, and I thought I'll make something related to medieval and like something like rock texture. I really like this one. I have seen this in ArtStation. Hey Gabe, hey Sam, and I think I'll be doing something like this. Maybe because this looks kind of cool with lots of surface imperfections. And I like the color variations like the moss and the rock. I'll try to get as much as surface detail as possible, but I'm not really sure how I can actually do about this. And sorry for not streaming previously. Hey David, good evening. And sorry for not streaming for the past 2 days. That's because of my exams. And now that I'm back, let's continue. So before that, I want to show what I have been doing for the past 2 weeks. Like past 2 days, I did 2 different things, and let's see what I've done so far. Let's save this real quick. Day 13. So let's open Ancient. So for Ancient, I did the Elder Wand. So as you can see, I think I'll be making a tutorial soon on how to make this one. The node setup is pretty much the same repeated stuff over and over again with a little bit more math and some bump. And that's basically how I model this one. This is nothing complex. It's a really simple one. I didn't have much time, so I tried to decrease it as much as possible. Hey, hi, Tariq. And so you don't need to like think about why haven't I streamed about this one, but yeah, I'll do make a tutorial on this one. And the next one is prehistoric. So as you can see, this is the node setup, and let's first look at the node setup and see why it's not complicated. As you can see, the same node setup is duplicated over and over again. Look at here, the same thing here, same thing here, here, a little bit more math just to multiply something, and the same thing here and here. So, and the render, basically what I got was looking something like this one, like a little cute little dinosaur. And the inspiration for this one was from a soft toy. Let me just try to open the image editor. Hopefully it should be here. That's not here. This one, this was my reference image, and I improvised it a bit more and I got something like this. And so is it all visible, guys? I'm not really sure. Last time it was really bad, but hopefully this time you can see everything. So this is what I have done so far, and yeah, that's basically what I did for the past 2 days. So today I want to continue with day 13, which is prehistoric, and I want to make these bricks. So let's get started. I might use my old node group, but because it's really time consuming, and to make one like like there is Simon Thomas, there is Aaron who already made a tutorial on this, how to make bricks. So I might use that one. Let me see if I can find it. It's not the most effective way of doing, but I think it's fine. Should be somewhere here. So how are you all doing? This is the bricks. Yeah, this is the bricks. No trees, bricks node group, I guess. This is the one, yeah. So bricks node group. So I do have like few things here, and also as you can see, this is not completely done. That's because the width and height are not mentioned here. So let's give it some width and height to basically see what's happening. So you can increase the width obviously a little bit more. How about that? And maybe this a little bit more about there. So yeah, so now you have the cell vector, which is the UV tiles, and then you have the bricks mask, which you'll look only when you increase the motor strength a bit, as you can see over there. And round corners, basically just to like round them off. And seed is for like random offset and regular offset, but let's go with regular offset of 0.5, about somewhere there. Yeah. And then what about the bevel? If you want to like give bevel, you can, but it won't be visible in the mask, it'll be visible in the height map. So you can increase the bevel to basically round them, like to give it a bit more gradient over there. And yeah, that's basically what it is. And we'll be using this as our base node group, and you can find this node group for free on my Gumroad. I can share the link real quick. Gumroad.com/just3dthings. And you can also find you can also find an example shader which was highly inspired by the procedural bricks made by Simon Thomas. So I made my own just for like practice purposes. So yeah, it's right here. So I shared the link in the live chat. You can download the node group from over there, and if you want to follow along, you can. And yes, let's continue. So as you can see, these bricks are kind of big and randomly arranged. So let's I don't think so. I did complete this node group. Let me see this one. Yeah, this is the old one. This is not the new one. I think the new one was the tile generator, which was pretty simple, but let me also find that node group and see which one suits our own need, okay? Because it's a casual live stream. Hopefully you guys are fine with it. Also, maybe let me just find it in my file, tile generator. I got it. Let's get back. Append node tree tile generator. So let's look at the tile generator node. And when you keep it side by side, you can see it has the same stuff, except like let's increase the width and height just a bit. And also let's look at the height. Why it's not working? So this one needs texture coordinates, obviously, but I'll be using UV map. So let's connect UV map to the vector. Why is it still not visible? Is it because of the scale or else? Yeah, there you go. So the width and the height, and the randomness is at 1, so it's kind of random, as you can see over there, like random. And regular offset is basically only changes the alternating rows. So let's not make it completely random, but just a bit random, like so. That okay. And you can increase the tile sizes. Maybe the width is fine, height probably. How about that? Yeah, that looks fine to me. And let's also look at the height map. Okay, no idea why. Yeah, it's because of the motor width is at 1. So let's do that. And also rounding, a little bit rounding. It's not necessary, but we'll change everything later on. So I'll remove the bricks node group but everything else is the same thing. Okay, so if you look at the tile generator, this is more organized and simple one compared to the other one. Like, let's look at the bricks node group. So in the link which I shared, you'll find the bricks node group, which is pretty much the same thing but using only math nodes, not many vector math nodes. I was not really familiar with vector math when I made this node group before. So without any further delay, let's actually complete the thing with, okay, let's look at the randomness a bit more. Let's give it more randomness, maybe a little more regular offset so that it actually kind of looks displaced. Now we also have random color and random tilt map, like tilt map for basically tilting these things, and motor mask. So yeah, let's continue. So let's start with the height map, and also let's start giving some variations. Okay, so you can first let's directly plug it into the displacement. So I'll use a displacement node. There's no vector displacement today, so I'll connect the height map to the height and displacement to the displacement. Now in cycles, when you look at the whole thing, you won't see much happening. That's because we don't have enough geometry. For that we have to add a subdivision surface modifier, and then we have to turn the adaptive subdivisions on. And in the material settings, we have to turn on the true displacement, which is already turned on by default. So now when you look at it, you can see something is happening, and because it's a plane, by default it chooses the Catmull Clark, but then I don't want that. I want simple, so I'll choose simple. And as you can still see, something's happening here. What exactly has happened over there? So the mid level is at 0, point number 1, so let's make it 0. So now, and also these values are not clamped, so even there are negative displacement going on. So maybe I think we can just use a clamp node here to clamp it to the zeros, like just clamp it. You don't want the negative values anyway, we can just ignore them. Hey Syncratic, how are you? I'm doing tiles, I guess, like the wall material. So basically what I did was I kinda made the mask, so I can decrease the scale so that it matches the whole thing. Like, let's go 0.05 for now. It's really less. Like, if you look at it close, it's not too much displacement, so we can work with this one for now. Okay, and anyway we'll be like using random colors to give random offset and random tilt and so on, so I think it's fine. So next up, we have, like, you can see that the whole surface is like distorted and stuff, right? So for the height map, what we could do is we can use a noise texture, and we can add like a value node, and we can change the value based upon the value node using a mix shader node. Like, let's connect the factor here, and if you connect this to either the motor width, the motor width, you can start saying that the motor width is basically changing like randomly, like, right? You can decrease it to 0, as you can see here. And also what you could do is you can set the minimum value, like about like little width, and give it some randomness, or else you can use linear light for this one, which works better for, like, look at that, the distortion. And maybe you might think it's really less, but then you can increase the scale obviously to make it more distorted and jagged, which looks kind of what we want to go, right? And also details, I don't really mind, but then I think it's fine. Let's go about 20 here. Like, okay, let's go about 30. No, not a big deal. Like 40, fine, 40. Distortion, I don't want any distortion, but yeah, you get the gist of it. So let's use the same UV coordinates now. We can plug them, Control J, and call this motor variation. Now when you look at the height map with the diffuse shader on, you can still see the same thing happening, except the whole thing is kinda getting distorted, which is what we are going for. So this is the base shape. So this is the first level of detail which we can give. And also when you look close, what's happening here is you're getting like a really sharp fall off, like not that sharp, but yeah, sharp fall off. So let's also give some bevel variations. Okay, so to do that, we can again start, we can, like, use the color output and separate them into three different colors, separate RGB. Why I'm doing that is basically to decrease the computation. And then what I can do is I can use another value node to define the base strength, and then you can use a linear light. Linear light is by in the mix RGB node, and I can mix them with linear light and connect the one to the top socket and distort it with the noise. Red channel is something with a factor here, so I'll be using the green channel, so I'll get a different values, and I can use this one as our bevel strength instead of, like, let me show what this is actually doing. So when it is 0, you can see there's no bevel at all. So when I increase, it has a constant bevel, but when I distort this with a linear light, look what happens. So with 0 bevel, this is how it looks, except linear light. If let's use mix to show what's happening. Like right now it is at 0.5, right? Let's set this to 0 and let's change this to linear light. So when you increase it just a bit, you can see there's a little bit of bevel added, right? So, and then we can actually like distort this bevel like randomly to only few locations, so that it kind of looks something like that. And now when you look at the height map with the diffuse shader on, you can see that there's like proper nice little bevels here. And maybe because of the height, it looks more like it looks too broken. We can actually play around with the values, though even this one looks kind of really nice to start with. But yeah, let's actually not go overboard, and let's change this bevel strength to like 0.06 or something. And let's look at the height map, and let's decrease the strength about there, just a bit, maybe a little more. Let's see. Okay, just a little. So we have these little dents over here. So let's save the file real quick. Oh, Tariq, I think you can append the generator from the link which I have shared, the Gumroad link which is on top. Hey Mahir, yeah, I'm streaming Blender. So far so good. Let's also call this as bevel variation. So now we got 2. So this is a very basic thing which I always do, and I learned this from Simon Thomas tutorial. So let's continue. So next up, what do we have? We need the surface details and some randomness, right? Randomness in the surface and stuff. So let's actually start using the color output and separate them into 3 different channels. So you have 3 different grayscale maps. You can either use separate XYZ or separate RGB. Because it's a color output, let's use separate RGB because that makes more sense. Doesn't really matter because colors and vectors are same in Blender. So let's use the red channel for now, and let's multiply the whole thing with our height map. So let me tell you something very important here. It's really important to understand the range of grayscale. So grayscale value starts from 0, and because by default Blender is using high dynamic range values, it starts from 0 to infinity. Okay, so but we are going to restrict the height maps because like our height maps are always going to lie between 0 and 1. I mean the highest value. You can go overboard by increasing the scale here, but then it's always better to like start using low dynamic range values when you're creating height maps. Okay, I think Blender is lagging. No, it's not. So let's consider like 0 and 1, okay? And the RGB values are always lying between 0 and 1. So to decrease the height, which is basically at 1 right now, to convert this into like to decrease the height, what you could do is you can either multiply with a range of 0 to 1. If you multiply a range of 0 to 1, this 1 is going to decrease, right? Because at 0 it will become 0, at 1 it will become 1, and at 0.5 or something this 1 will become 0.5. And if at all if you multiply something greater than 1, this is going to be greater than 1. So when you keep multiplying with the range 0 to 1, the total height is always going to get decreased. So that's a technique which I'm going to use. So I'll add a math node, change this to multiply, and I'll multiply this one with one of the channels. I think maybe let's use the red channel, it's not a big deal. So when you look at the height map, this is how it's gonna look like. So this will have like really low displacement because it's more darker, and this will have really high displacement. But then because we want more variation, we could use like another math node, like a multiply node. Just to like see what's actually happening. But instead what we could do is we can simply use mix RGB node, change this to multiply, and you can take these two values and you can control the strength here, like how much it has to be multiplied. Just multiply by half. Like if you go to 1, this is what's gonna be. But yeah, let's go like 0.5, like only 50% is going to get affected. You might think this is nothing much, but when you look at the displacement, so this is how it's going to look like. I mean, let's look at the, as you can see, we start getting some height variations, right? Like when you look from the corner, you can still see this is at low heights and these are at high heights. So that's exactly what we are going for, random heights. So next up, what I want to do is I mean, I want to I just want to keep renaming everything because it's good. Maybe let's decrease the thing to 0.6 or something, maybe 0.5, because there is nothing much here, much gap, and I can see a lot of gap over there. Maybe this one too, it's 0.6 is too, I think, yeah, it's fine, 0.6 is fine here. Maybe let's decrease the, as you can see there, this one is just giving a little bit of variation, it's not giving too much, but you can go overboard anyway. Okay, so next up, let's say this is the random height. So next up, what we could do, we can start giving more random values, like you can use this color alp channel to basically give another random height. But let's use the tilt map or something. Like this tilt map goes from -1 to 1 here, and we can basically tilt the whole values here, I mean the whole vector in any direction. To do that, what you could do is you can take a math node and maybe add 1 and multiply by 0.5. So every single value is going from about 0 to 1 or something in different directions. Like what this is doing is, like, a gradient is something that goes from -1 to 1 linearly. Okay, so now if you have a surface, something like, see, imagine 0 is like like 0 height and 1 is like at 1 height. Right now I have a surface which is just flat with some noise and some arrows like this. Okay, we have bricks in this way. So when I add a gradient here, so what it's going to do is basically adding a different layer depending on the gradient. So something like this. So basically what this is going to look like, it looks like the whole brick got tilted. So because it's random, you don't know in which direction the tilt is going to be, right? Does that make sense? So, and so this is how it is. So you can use this multiply node to see how much you want to tilt everything. So I want to keep it really low. I don't want to keep it too much. And let's also use another math node. So I think I'll add this time. Okay, let's add this. So now when you look at the add node, you might not see much happening here, but then when you look at the displacement, you might start seeing some random tilt, like a little tilt. If you can't see much, you can basically increase the strength to like 0.1 or something. If not, let's go to 1. Can you see every single brick is like kind of tilted? So that's exactly what I mean. This is not subtle, right? This is not at all subtle, so we can make it subtle, right? By decreasing strength to 0.1 or something. Or else again, what you could do is you can use another vector add node, not vector add node, mix RGB add node. And you can take this one, because what I'm doing here is like, because it's like it has before this tilt map was going from -1 to 1, like not -1 to 1, like from negative values to the positive values. So when I add 1, all the negative values will be no longer there. Hey toxic tuba. And this one, I think when I add it to this one with an add, I can increase or decrease the strength of it. So right now the strength is 0, so you can't see much tilting happening. So when I start increasing the value, you might start seeing that there's a little bit of tilt going on. I think I'll stick to this one, except again when you look at it, when you multiplied, all these values here are 0, so it didn't affect. But then when you started adding, these values are added in the motor areas as well, which I don't really want to do. So what I could do is I can take the motor mask, which is basically this one, and multiply my add node with that one, with mask. So all the blacks will remain blacks and all the whites will have the tilt. So now let's look at that. So look at this. This is what's going to get into the add node. So before it was something like this, which was completely blocked away. So now if I multiply with the mask, all the areas with black are going to become zeros. And when it's zeros, when you add, there'll be no displacement. So that's basically a thing, I guess. So now when you look at the principal shader, there you go. It's not really that complex if you think about it, but yeah, so far that's what we have. And let's save this file real quick. Maybe it looks like it is still too much of displacement, honestly. Like even this is too much. Let's go 0.1. 0.1 is too less. 0.2 or 0.3 might actually suit the whole thing. No idea. Let's try 0.2. Yeah, we can play with these values anytime soon, but yeah, for now let's continue. So now what we could do is we can start adding the surface details and then the color information, and because we have the motor mask, we can also start messing around with the motor types. Like if you wanted to make more static, you can, or else if you want to make it more noisy, you can do that anyway. So let's also rename everything here. So Control J, and let's call this as random tilt. It's not really required, but it's just a little variation. Doesn't really matter much. And while I was talking to Syncratic, what he was saying was it's a good thing if you have like a motor gradient, like instead of just a black and white mask, if you have a motor gradient, that could be useful for like many other techniques. So I think I'll add that as well. So that's basically nothing but we have our height map, right? just invert the height map using subtract node, subtract 1 minus something. So this is going to be the gradient which we might start using for other stuff as well, but yeah, so far that's what it is. So I can think as the motor gradient, Control J. We'll use this for, it's not more or motor. So yeah, let's keep it over there and let's clean everything up here. Whew, now the surface detail. I have no idea how I think I'll be doing this, but let's get started. So obviously, because it's random, I think we should start with the noise texture, right? So let's start with the noise texture and let's keep these things away. Random tilt and random height. Okay, good. And let's also use a noise texture. Let's start creating some noise, okay? And I want this noise to be random per cell. I don't want it to be continuous from one cell to the other cell. Really doesn't matter, but we can do what we want, right? So let's use the same UV map here and let's change the noise to 2D for now. I don't think 3D matters because no one is gonna see what exactly is here in this direction. So now this is what I have so far. We also have the color output, which I think we'll be using by separating the RGBs. And I'm looking at the chat and nothing's happening, so it's fine. So as you can see, this is a really high frequency noise, right? It's not something which is not like just random. So because it's high frequency noise, I'm going to increase the detail level to around 12. It's a really bad idea to increase the detail level more than 8 or something, but yeah, maybe the roughness just a little. Maybe let's not do any roughness for now. Let's go about size about 4 to about like 40. Maybe a little distortion. This is too much of distortion actually. 0.1. A little distortion is fine. Or else what you could do is you can use another noise texture and try to like distort the present one using a linear light. Linear light. So let's just keep a little about there. Let's increase this size. There you go. You start getting more different colors, I guess. So let's go about like 70 here. And let's increase the detail to about, yeah, let's go 8 here. Nothing more than that. Maybe if you increase the roughness, you can see it's a more subtle detail. It looks like stains, but yeah, it's still roughness. So, and also what I want to do is because we have the UV map and we have the random color output here, and because we'll be using, okay, let's use 3D. Let's not use 2D for now. Hey, Humongous Blaze. Oh, welcome to the stream. Nice to have people from Australia. And so we have a random color, right? So what we could do is we can add a vector. So if I add if adding colors is basically nothing but adding vectors. When you add two vectors, you're basically shifting the vector to another location, like the points. So you can use this one. So you have this randomly this random vectors, and you can use this one as an input instead of that. So this is going to like do nothing much, but the main thing what this is going to do is I'm not really sure if you can see the seam here. It's going to make everything random, like I mean random per cell. It's not going to be that significant, but yeah, it's still something. So cause now we have something like this. This is a really high frequency, high detail noise. Not really sure if this will actually look good or something. We can try. So yeah, let's try. And also let's subtract now. Okay, let's subtract the height. If you subtract some height, what's going to happen is it's going to like decrease the values, right? So I think I'll subtract this one. Like let's go with green channel now. Subtract is B, I guess. Yeah. Let's go to the rendered view. Okay, this is the rendered view. So when I subtract was full, this is how it's gonna look like. All these values are getting more darker, obviously, but let's only decrease about like 0.2% or something. Like it's going to be really subtle detail. So now when you look at this, I hope we can see something from here. Because it's too less, I'm not really sure if this is going to be visible. But yeah, as you can see here in the surfaces, you can see it started like adding some noise details here. So we can still play around with it. And I think this is a really good one. Nothing bad so far. And maybe we can increase the noise scale or decrease the noise scale. Let's see. Let's play around with it. And I think I'll start doing some lighting just now. And set the camera angle, which looks similar to this. I did some procedural tiles before. Let me just open them to show what's capable with Blender. Yeah, the tactiles, yeah. So this is one thing which I was really proud of, and this is such a big node tree, like, and the render, it's one of my favorites. Like I have to refresh the geometry, but this one especially is like my favorite render so far. It's gonna take a while to load, but if you have any doubts, you guys can put it up over there. So all these things, I mean, this is looking almost photorealistic, and that's because of the ambient occlusion and dirt here, and also these minor details and some roughness variations here and there. So I hope I might reach something close to this level of output. And yeah, I struggled like around 7 to 8 hours doing this particular one. Like it's all about like tweaking the values and giving some color variations, which I think was pretty important. And also I did some renders as well, as you can see here. So this was rendered in Asus, like this particular image, and this one was which I got. Like this is like slightly exaggerated version just to see the more details and stuff. Obviously you can't walk on this, so I made like a believable one next. And yeah, that's it so far. So let's get back. Let's not save anything. So I want to do some render something like that, if that makes any sense. So let's set up the camera and stuff. Right now it's all rotated, so RX90, and let's look at one angle, this particular angle, I guess. Control Alt 0, and let's go to camera settings. Let's change this to HD camera, and let's look at this one now. shift space G XX. Let's look at the render. Yeah, except this thing is too wide, so I might move this front a bit more. G Z Z G Y Y. G Y G X X. Why am I not able to do this? Let's look at this close once. Let's see if this looks good. It kinda does, except I think I can change the focal length just a bit more. I think this looks good. Except I want to change something. I want to keep the Y rotation to 0. This should never be like and also X rotation to 90. So there's no distortion. These things can be like Z can be anything, but 90 and 0 in X and Y rotation makes it look more believable, like really nice photographic shot. And also here the lighting looks really bad. I'll change it later on, but for now I'll be using the internal HDRIs which are present. I'm kind of relaxing here. So let's save the file again. Let's go to precision shading workspace. Look at this one. And also if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Hey JC, hi. Welcome to the stream. I'm just trying to make some good old bricks. And let's also turn on the depth of field, which is not necessary right now. Those are for final renders. And also let's turn on the, what is it called, render region. Maybe let's change this to 0.4 and see if there's any significant change. You can also give it a test render though. But yeah, as you can see, we start getting some nice little variations on surfaces, which is good. Let's give it like a test render with some decent samples. Let's say 50%. Let's go. It's gonna take a second, but yeah, as you can see, this is a lot. I mean, it's a lot of variation, which is not even looking good, right? Like, oh my god. I mean, it's random, but not good. So I think we should decrease the strength. You might ask me, why exactly is this happening? Why can't I see it in the, in the viewport or something? That's because my viewport subdivision count is at 2 pixels, whereas the rising scale is at 1 pixel in the rendered view. So let's go about 0.1 and let's give it another test render to see where things go. Yeah, this kind of gives us a nice base. Let's try with 0.2 and see. If not, let's stick to 0.1. Okay, I mean, it's not too much, but yeah, it's still some variation, right? Let's see. 0.2 F12. Let's give it render and see. Yeah, this is getting too much. It's I think Uh, it depends. What do you guys think? It's a lot of trial and error though. What I feel is I might stick to 0.1 for now because I can still add more variations to the surfaces later on, which I think is a good call. And as you can see, 0.2 is also not sufficient, so I think I'll add another mix, like a math node, and change this to multiply and change this to 0.5. Now let's give it another test render, because I'm just decreasing the total height by half to see if there's anything change. No significant change, so let's get back again. Let's multiply this by 0.2 and let's give it another test render. Because viewport is less slower and render is kind of faster. There you go. As you can see, we have lot of things going on here. You can see that we kind of see there's like nice similarities, but then you can't see the crevices properly here because of the motor. So we have to like fix the motor now. So let's get back there. And obviously I think the scale is 70 and 40, which is kind of less, because as you can see here, this is even high frequency, right? So to do that, what I want to do is I want to multiply this R channel or whatever this channel with the motor mask again, so it will get neglected. Let's multiply this by the motor mask. So now let's give it another render, just a quick one. So now, oh no, we have to look at this one, principal shader F12. There you go. You can see that this one kind of came up, which kind of makes sense because I'm subtracting more values from the given thing. So it looks cool though. It's also nice, good little design, but it's not realistic enough. So let's change this to 0.1 and let's change this to 0.4. Okay, now let's give it a test render. Okay, so much trial and error. So I think I'll go with 0.12 or 1.3 here to get more surface details. And yeah, and here instead of 0.4, I think I'll go with 0.3, and here like 0.13. Okay, no idea, completely depends. Yeah, I think this is the final one. I think I'll stick to this one, no more changes. I kind of like this surface details. Now we have to add more, like a high frequency noise. So this is the low frequency noise. I'm not going to change anything, except we can try changing the scale here to like 60 or something. Yeah, fix. So now what I want to do is, like, I want to add more dents in the places. For dents, the best part is Voronoi, and then for also cracks, we can also add cracks, which can be done using a Voronoi texture. So this coordinate system is like the randomly shifted coordinate system, so I'll be using the same coordinate system here. And let's see, let's use a, and also because the overall scale matters a lot, we'll kind of keep things in scale. So let's see, let's change this to 40 exactly, and let's add a Voronoi texture. Let's connect the vector here and let's see, look at the position, not position, the distance. So as you can see, everything is shifted. That's exactly what I want. And number of dents, I think I'll increase it to about like 40 or something. And this is going to only affect on the corners, so for that's where we can use our motor gradient, only getting affected in the areas where it has 0 to 1. So let's see. And then all I have to do is take a math node and take a multiply node, mix node, not mix, but kinda like a multiply node. Let's multiply these two things together. So let's look at how this looks. It looks kinda good, like here and there, like we have the nice little dents. We can clamp it, I guess. It doesn't matter. But okay, let's actually add more here. Okay. Now let's try to like put this in the bottom socket. Look at the mix node output. Okay, as you can see, something's happening, and let's actually visualize what's happening using render. F12. Hey Xbox, hi. Oh my god, Blender is not crashing, hopefully. Okay, we have this nice little dents on the things, which is too much, but yeah, still looks cool some places. But yeah, next up, let's use another multiply node probably. Not multiply, we should not use multiply. That's not good. Let's look at the multiply node. E the EP shader compilation is really bad. Just a little bit. For multiply, I think we can do color burn. I don't know, I'm just playing around with these values. What about linear light? Maybe soft light? Oh, wait a second, I think it's overlay, which basically only affect the region with nice little gray areas. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, it is overlay. And let's keep the factor a little low, and let's look at the final render. Like, not the final, but yeah. Yes. This kind of looks fine to me. Now, but we'll concentrate on the motor in the final runs. So let's give it more dents, I guess. So for that, I can simply use another Voronoi with about those many dents is fine. And also let's try to subtract it, okay? Let's connect that down. Let's look at the screen. What exactly is screen doing? No idea, but let's see. At 0, it's nothing. At 0.33, it has something like maybe dents, I guess, because it's basically making everything darker. So let's see. Can you see any dents? Any much dents? Probably not. So let's increase this to 0.1. Let's see the render. There you go. That's exactly what I wanted. But this is too much. I mean, look at that. Uh, it looks like scales for some reason instead of you know. So what we could do is we can either change this to smooth F1 and look at the smoothness, and also we can decrease the strength of the whole thing by 0.5, I guess. Let's look at this render now. I can't see much happening though. Can you? Let's see. Let's go about like 0.75. I know this one is kind of boring, but it's really important to play around with the values until you get the desired one. Yeah, I think I like these dents more now. It's not much and it's kind of random, and I like these things over there. So let's save this and let's go to the procedural shading workspace. What happens if I not look at the overlay? Like if I just mute it? I mean, I'm just looking if I actually need it or not. Yeah, I think I do need it. It kind of takes care of the edges, so yeah, I kind of need it. So let's not do anything for that, except we can keep it like this and call it dents. Next comes the most interesting part, cracks. So cracks are going to be little confusing, but very easy to make, and that is by using distance to edge Voronoi. So let's add another Voronoi texture. Let's connect the these little distort coordinates which is already present and change this to distance to edge. And let's look at the Voronoi and in the material preview mode. There you go. You can see nice little straight lines, looks like cracks. Not exactly cracks, but yeah, something similar to cracks. So what you could try doing is you can use another, like these linear lighted one. It's gonna take a while, but yeah, you can see this is too much. So let's build our own one using a noise texture and use the linear light. It's in the mix RGB node. Let's connect the same vector here and same vector here as well. And now let's connect this to the vector. Now let's look how this is gonna look. It's gonna look kind of crazy, but that's all because of the mix. When you change this linear light, you might find it's even more terrible. So you can just change a little bit to make it more wrinkly. So, and also because this is kind of more hard to do, we can increase the details to about like 8 max. I think 8 is fine. A scale, I'm not really sure, it completely depends, but I think around 10, or else like let's go 5, let's not touch anything. So this is the cracks, right? So let's rename this to cracks. Except you have something else to do as well. The cracks are not supposed to be everywhere. Like if at all, if you give it everywhere, well and good, but I don't think so that's how things work, right? So what I think I'll be doing is I'll make a mask using the separate XYZ, because I still have R and B here. So I'll take a math node and like change this to greater than about like few cracks, like there you go. Math node, multiply both of them. So this is how it's gonna look. But as you can see, the threshold determines how many cracks you have. So yeah, that's not a problem then, right? or else we can use the red channel as well. Yeah. So next up, what I could do is I can add another multiply node and multiply the whole thing with clamped on with a kind of higher value, so that I get these tight little edges. So now finally all I have to do is take the greater than node, math, invert it by subtracting 1, and add them together. So look at that now. There you go. You only have the crack mask. You can use this crack mask to basically multiply with our motor mask and then apply the cracks. Okay, so let's actually look at it now. So all these things should be inside the whole thing, right? Let's put it there, not a big deal. Yeah. So we can multiply this with our motor mask using a math node. Use motor mask here, and the output here. We can multiply these two things, and this is how it's going to look like with only with cracks. So now finally all I have to do is multiply the whole thing like with full, using this emotion, like using this what am I even talking? We can multiply this with this particular one. Let's do with full multiplication because it's just a black and white mask. Oh no, oh no, oh no. No, I think we have to look into the material preview mode. Hopefully. I can't see anything happening. Why is okay? Because that's the. Let's look at the material preview mode for now. It's compiling the shaders, so let's just wait. Oh yeah, see ya, Xbox. Oh, it's 4 a.m. for me right now. I couldn't sleep today. But yeah, there you go. The cracks are added, so I think this is gonna look good on our full material, like on a render. So let's just give it one more render. There you go. Except I can see some stuff which is not looking that great because the cracks are too broken and it's not at all random. So we can do some stuff to fix it. Don't you guys think? So to do that, let's go to pressure shading, and we can increase the scale and roughness of these two things. So let's actually look at the add node for now. And when you look this up close, you can't see much of noise happening. Like this one can be actually increased a bit more. Like with, you can go about details, or else you can also go about scale, or else maybe the roughness. How about that? Multiply this with this one, multiply this with this one. You can tighten these things up as well. Now let's look at the final F12. Oh, we are already going for an hour. Oh, that's fine. Hopefully. So there you go. These cracks looks better, but yeah, still broken. And This is somehow we can start giving nice little variations now. So because we are done with cracks and everything, now let's go and do some, what can I say, maybe color variation. Yeah, let's do some color variation. So for color variation, all I have to try doing is like, I mean, it's not compulsory, but let's see. We can use the same noise, yeah, except now we can use the different red. We can use red channel, use another color ramp, and let's pick some colors. Okay, the black one is not completely black. Let's go about that color, and this one, let's go about this color. And there's a lot of roughness issues, so let's plug this directly to the principal shader, and let's hope everything works fine. Obviously it's not gonna work fine because the roughness is kind of varied. So what we could do is we can try adding some roughness using a noise texture. So let's add another noise texture, and obviously these things are not perfect, so let's just kind of manipulate them a bit more. And also let's try to increase the color here. Doesn't really matter, but yeah, kind of gives its effect, like not completely random, that's why. How about that? Now let's look at the principal shader, except with full roughness for now, like about really high roughness. So let's give it a render. It's gonna look fine once we start adding more specular and then a little bit of gloss. But yeah, these are like the basic shapes of the whole thing, rocks, and we can still give some variations at in colors, like the moss, like the little bit of moss which is present over there. And let's try that, and let's look at this noise texture. Let's increase the scale, and let's also subtract 0.5 from this one. Subtract 0.5. Let's clamp it. Let's send this to the roughness. We can use another map range from 0 to 1 to about like 0 to 0.8, I guess 0.6. Let's look at this one now. Now let's go F12 for rendering. Yeah, the lighting looks terrible, so we can improve the lighting now. And then let's also give some color variations. Let's also add some greens. So to do that, let's use the same, like not same, but kinda, maybe let's use a different noise. And let's increase the scale about there, roughness about there, details about 5, and little distortion, not too much. Let's use a color ramp. Let's plot the colors real quick. You can pick the greens over there, and you can get the same color of green, except let's increase the saturation a bit more, maybe a little bit more, value a little more. Yeah, so you can combine this one and this one using another noise texture, which can be used another color ramp, but here we had to separate them. And let's plug the Y into here, and let's bring this whole thing about there. and use a mix RGB node. Connect this on the factor. Black one is going to be the blacks and whites are going to be this one. Look at this mix node. Hopefully, I mean, you can't see much, right? Like here, can you see the greens? I think that's the variation which I'm looking for. So, and then let's plug this base color and let's see a render now from the principal PSDF. Hopefully this should look kind of different, not too much, but yeah, you can still start playing about this one. Oh, thank you, David. Thanks for hanging around. Okay, I can't see much happening except the color variations is not that visible. We can make it more apparent, but let's try to do something else. Maybe it's a specular is too less. Let's actually increase the specular to 0.8 or something. And what else can we do? Made it like we can do something like this. We can add some noise for roughness, which is already done. So let's increase the scale about to like 10 or something. Let's look at this color output, the mix HB node. About that is good. Maybe change this to math node. No, not here. Have 3 color ramps from the same thing and not able to do it. What's wrong with this one? I'm just brainstorming, guys. Maybe the color. You can bring the colors a little bit to the side, just a little bit. There you go. This is more apparent. Is it? The algae. Hopefully. Let's see. Yeah, the specularity at 1 completely ruined it. But yeah, it's fine, I guess. Let's look at the scene defaults. I kind of like the whole thing, but there's less shininess, so I think I'll add it more. But yeah, I do like the surface details. We can add more, but I might stop streaming soon, so it's fine. So what I could do now is I could try change the map ranges to something more desirable, I guess. How about that? Maybe like a little more distortion. Hmm. How about that? Okay. This kinda looks fine. But guys, I think I kinda wanna stop streaming now. I wanna sleep. But thanks for hanging around. Let's look at the one render. Hopefully you guys learned something from this one. It's not completed, so I will complete this one tonight and I'll post it later on. But thank you. Really had fun with the whole thing. And I'll see you in the next one. See ya.